Upbringing of Prophet Muhammad was miraculous. He grew up as an orphan. Both of his parents died when he was only 6 years old, but Allah provided his Prophet with shelter, love, and care of his uncle, and all the basic materials that he needed. His father Abdullah died while he was still in his mother's womb. After he was born, he was nursed for a couple of days by a servant of Abu Lahab. Then the Prophet, peace be upon him, was sent away to be cared for in a pure atmosphere of the desert, and there he was nursed by Halima as-Sadiya. The Prophet, peace be upon him, remained under the care of Halima and enjoyed the company of Banu Sa'd tribe for approximately 4 years. It was during his stay with Halima that he underwent the most major and first step towards becoming a prophet. It was a highly symbolic step that involved the literal washing of his heart, and it was a miraculous occurrence that took place in the presence of a group of children from Banu Sa'd tribe. In a narration of Sahih Muslim, Anas bin Malik said, while the Prophet of Allah was playing with some other boys, Jibreel came to him. He took him and forced him to the ground and split him open, revealing his heart. Jibreel extracted his heart, removed from it a blood clot, and said, "This is the portion of Shaitan in you." He then washed the heart with Zamzam water in a basin made up of gold. He then rejoined the heart and returned it to its place. The children were horrified and ran off to his nursing mother. They said to her, "Verily Muhammad has been died." They went to him and found that his color has changed, though he was otherwise fine. But Anas bin Malik said, "I used to see the marks of that stitching on his chest." After this incident, Halima as-Sadiya was afraid for the Prophet, and she felt that it was no longer safe for him to stay with her, and so she decided to return the Prophet to his mother Amna bint Wahab. Later on, Amna took Prophet with her to Al-Madinah, where she was going to visit her brothers. During his return from that journey to Makkah, at a place called Abwa, Amna died. At that time, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was only 6 years, 3 months and 10 days old. After though the Prophet, peace be upon him, was an orphan, but he never lacked the love and care that every child needs. Whenever he lost a loving caregiver, Allah would replace that caregiver with another one who loved him just as much. By the death of his mother, he was taken and cared for by his grandfather Abdul Muttalib. For the next 2 years of his life, the Prophet, peace be upon him, enjoyed the healthy and loving atmosphere of the grandfather's home. Abdul Muttalib saw in Prophet, peace be upon him, signs of greatness, so he took special care of him. For instance, he allowed the Prophet, peace be upon him, instead of his many sons, to sit beside him on his mat in front of the Kaaba. Then with his death, Abdul Muttalib ordered that his grandson be placed in the custody of his uncle Abu Talib. The Prophet, who was 8 years old at that time, could not have been placed under the care of a better guardian. A guardian that protected him not just as a child and not just as a young adult, but also during the difficult early years of his prophethood. Abu Talib loved the Prophet, peace be upon him, deeply, so much. In fact, despite remaining polytheist, he supported the Prophet during the most difficult years of his prophethood, the years during which he faced constant persecution at the hands of Quraysh. Abu Talib was not doing this all by faith in his nephew's mission, but somewhere in his heart he knew that his nephew was preaching the truth, but he died a polytheist. Because of the ultimate justice of Allah, not all polytheists are the same. Some will suffer more than others in the hellfire. Some of them will be in the lowest depths of hellfire, while others will in a shallow but still a horrible part of the hellfire. The Prophet's appeal will decrease the punishment of Abu Talib in hellfire but not cancel out completely. As the Prophet peace be upon him said, he is in the shallow part of the hellfire, and were it in for me, he would have been in the lowest depths of the hellfire. It is as the hellfire will reach his ankles, and as a result of that, his brain will boil.